Thank you all for being here tonight. I think, just before, Ms. Marshall, you good? Because if not, we're gonna have to stop.
That's right.
Because you're important. Can I, by show of hands, how many of you are aware of the project that is being proposed called the Brooklyn Marine Terminal?
Yeah.
Because I know some of you actually can do this, whatever I'm gonna do today in a few minutes. Many of you can probably do this presentation. So since, how many of you are not aware of the project? Okay, that's cool too. Amazing. All right. I'm gonna take some shortcuts, but I want you to know this is not gonna be super exhaustive. But whatever question you have afterwards, even if we gotta run, we are happy to try to answer, and we have a lot of experts in the room, because many of you have been to as many meetings as I have, and with stacks of papers on this project. But I also wanna thank Councilmember Shahana Hanif, who's the council member for Park Slope, Windsor Terrace, and you'll tell all your neighborhood representation, but she's my partner in crime, as she represents the Columbia waterfront, next door. So really quickly, so this property is 122 acres, right? So waterfront, how many of you have seen this property? From the inside? A lot of hands went down. That's certainly by design, right? This property has been operated by the Port Authority, New York, New Jersey for many, many years. At one time in its glorious days, it was doing tons of shipping. And then Port Authority decided, we don't really like this place. We're gonna invest in our bridges and tunnels. And so they, as a tri-party agreement between New York and New Jersey, cover all the tolls and all the bridges and all the crossings, and they make their money there. And that's really honestly where they focus a lot of their effort. And also for maritime, a lot of New Jersey was like, we wanna do it. So we invested a ton in New Jersey to build up their port and their maritime capacity. And what happened with the Brooklyn waterfront was it got disinvested in over many, many, many years. Industry left, industry has changed. So we have this big old property that currently has several tenants on it. Among them, Carolina, with Portside. We have a cruise ship terminal. Many of y'all have seen that. The New York Ferry is there. We have the Red Hook Container Terminal, right, which brings in goods. Y'all seen all the old cranes that are not working. And as time has moved on, some of these pier structures, which are very old, have started to fall into the water. Two have been decommissioned over the last year, and so they kind of keep moving people down. A lot of the use now is kind of, there's a concrete plant, there's like a lot of cars parked, there's a lot of different uses. The property is not maximized for maritime. It's not maximized for jobs. It was kind of left. And I will say, when I came to office, one of the first things I did was start fighting with the Port Authority around their dereliction of duty. Because they had a responsibility to invest here. And when I found out that their investments were going everywhere else, I was really aggravated by that, because I think it's unfair, right? So a lot of fighting with Port Authority. Anyway, at some point last year, they decided to strike a deal with the mayor and the governor, right? So mayor and the governor, and they were like, we're gonna do this amazing thing called a swap. We're gonna swap property. So the city controlled a property called Howland Hook in Staten Island, another port. Actually, very good shape, a port that it was invested in. We actually managed it pretty decently. So New York City decided, this is amazing, I don't know why. We're gonna swap, we're gonna give them operational control of Howland Hook, and we're gonna take this Brooklyn Marine Terminal that's falling into the water. We're gonna let them off the hook, so they're not gonna pay much of anything. And then we're gonna let them control, actually, what is gonna happen on that port. And this is an important point for all of you guys to know. Because what is happening now, right, a task force was established where there was a lot of battling around who was gonna be on that task force. I am the vice chair on the task force. there is a chair who is the Goldman, who's our congressional rep, and Senator Andrew Gennardis. And we, with EDC, kind of battled out over months who was gonna be sitting on this task force and the structure, and I could tell you dates around how that happened. My full interest was to make sure that there was representation on that task force from a couple of different places, right? Not only the community, but also maritime, because what was clear was the operation of the port as a working waterfront was something everybody was deeply committed to. And so we wanted to make sure we had experts that could tussle. So there's a 20, how many is that? Oh, I was like, where'd you go? Can
28,
somebody,
I think,
can somebody keep time on me? Cause you know, I could
5
talk-
minutes.
I could
You're
talk
at 6
about this
minutes.
for- Okay, I'm gonna speed it up. Anyway, 28, 26, 23, who knows? 20 some odd folks, right, have been meeting over since, when was the first meeting?
August.
Last October. Okay, two things. They announced this situation,
May.
we're gonna do a
Okay.
task force, and we're gonna complete it in 4 months. Anybody who knows anything about land use in New York City knows, for a property of any significant size, usually it takes years. Some of you may have heard about Gowanus rezoning, right? How long did Gowanus take? 10 years of planning, outside investment, city investment, a lot of struggle around how to find consensus. EDC was like, we're gonna do this in 4 months. I was like, y'all are hilarious. And 4 months came and it was clear that we weren't getting anywhere. And then we'd extend it 3 months, and then we're gonna extend it another 3 months. So we have been meeting for now close to a year, I suppose. But I will say the substance has been real light. Task force members, some, in addition to Shahana, we have another task force member here, and, Michael, hi Michael, how you doing? So we have 2 other task force members here. You know, so we have been, and some of you have had public meetings. So my contention is this is a public property, and it's complicated, right? We have a lot of competing interests and needs as a community. Anything that is rushed that quickly when there is so much disagreement around it should have more time. Because there are some real issues that we need to contend with. I have my personal opinions about what I think should be activated on this site, what should not be on this site. But I also understand that it's not about me. I represent a complex community that has different ideas and interests. So I stepped into this with I've got some framework here, but we're here to listen and understand what is happening. And so the EDC very quickly came out with a plan using a whole barrage of consultants that proposed 13,000 units of luxury, pretty much luxury housing, because the city and the state were not gonna really invest in modernizing this port in the way that we wanted to.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Port Newark still in this, and, see, I worked the waterfront a whole bunch of years.
Yeah.
Is Port Newark and Staten Island and all them, they're still in the right?
They're still there. So in the maritime industry, right, there's still growth. A lot of stuff still going on in New Jersey. It's the biggest port.
Oh, I know it
The
lives.
intention here was never to compete with that port. The intention here was to be our own port, that had our own little slice of pie, to think about other economic development opportunities that would actually bring jobs to this community, right? So how could we maximize this property with those ideas in mind? And so all of the, how you doing? So all of those things and conversations are happening, and then where do we go? So we have the contention of housing, the contention of a modern port and what that means. We have the ideas about what is economic development opportunities, right? Maybe connected to maritime, but maybe not. What else could be housed on that property that could meet some of those needs? We also have to think about climate impacts, right? It's on the water. What are some big ones? I think those are maybe some of the major big ones. So we're meeting feverishly over months. There've been some public meetings. Many of you have probably gone to those public meetings. And they've been very information out oriented. There's information coming in, but it's very hard to discern what has come in at all and how it informs what is happening, because it kind of goes in, from my perspective, and it goes into a black box, and then we're told, well, it's integrated somehow. So it went from 13,000 to 8,000. So where we are right now is there's supposed to be a vote June 18th. I should know this. Too much things in my head. June 18th, where this task force will vote on what is a framework of recommendations, right? So like, we want 8,000, we'll get 20, guys come in. Oh, okay. You look like a rock star. It's all good. So it's a framework. It's a framework that the intention is this body will say yes. Then another entity will be created with another set of people that will then have the authority to see this through. So what we have is a framework where there is not full agreement on. EDC's wheeling and dealing, offering different trinkets to different people. They're trying to meet interests to get a yes. It's unclear where we are. A lot of people have a lot of questions still. There's some decent things in there, and there's some things that I think are real head scratchers. Of course, there are a lot of opinions. And part of the challenge and the reason why we are having this meeting among many others is because there's still very much a feeling that a lot of people do not know what is happening here. Whatever happens on this property will fundamentally change Red Hook and the Columbia waterfront, especially if it is at the scale. It's just what happens, right? When you build big buildings, stuff changes in neighborhoods, right? Like, it is true, whether you like that or not, whatever, y'all have your own opinion, but it will change things seriously. At 8,000 units, 4,000 will be in Red Hook, 4,000 on the Columbia waterfront. That's a lot of units, a lot of people. Things would change significantly. So without getting into any other details, I think the EDC website has all the recordings of all these meetings. I think we need more time because I think there are still a lot of serious issues that we need to understand better to be able to create a framework that we feel good about. We have this is a political situation where you have a change. We're gonna potentially have a new mayor, which means we'll have new administrative heads for the agencies, right? The governor and their people have a role, but they're gonna have a lot of authority over what happens ultimately on this property. Because right now, I have a vote and Shahana has a vote because we're on a task force. But the land use disposition that they're gonna use is a state level disposition. We have no vote. So when y'all know ULURP, they have to negotiate with us because we could kill a project or we can move it forward, and that's where our leverage is as council members, because we can say, no, we want deeper affordability, or we want a community facility, or whatever it is that deal we can extract from a deal. In this situation, they created something where we won't have the authority to stop, at least not as a council member. As a community, that's a different story. The last GPP, and I'm gonna end here because there's a lot. The last GPP that some of y'all may remember is Atlantic Yards. Atlantic Yards was a 20-year nightmare in many circumstances, displaced a lot of people. It also didn't build all the housing especially the affordable housing that they promised. And right now, the state decided they were gonna let I think it's like 20 developers later, off the hook from the fines.
No consequences.
No consequences right now. They just let them off the hook. So, I will say, I just wanna leave you with this. We will be having a hearing at city council, like a couple days before the final vote,
June 12th,
June 12th.
1 p.m.
Watch them say we're gonna vote on the budget that day, I'm gonna be like, June 12th, there's a lot of information out there. The community, while I think in many ways maybe feels like, oh, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do, I want you to not sit in that, of ceding your control to other folks, or to your power to other people. It's important, I just said this to James, I'm gonna go down fighting, but I'm not gonna relent, especially if I believe in something, right? I'm not saying that y'all have to do this for that, but I just don't give up your power so easily, because I do feel like these structures really depend on that. They operate really well because we cede our own power, because we're kind of tired of it. And I feel that and I get that, so, but please don't do that. So we want you to ask any questions. I'm happy to like do one-on-one. I'm happy to send you whatever I have. I do have like one of these that can give you some visual for those of you who may not seen anything. And then what to say next? I prefer for you guys to ask questions.
Shahana's
And then Shahana, I'm sorry, Shahana,